Hey guys, this is John, and hope everyone's having a good start to their week. And I'm playing Step by Step in the 5-minute pool. I'll play D5, and we have a Slav of some sort. Step by Step is a frequent opponent of mine. We got a Slow Slav. I like to play Bishop F5 against this particular move order. This characterizes the Slow Slav. I'll go Bishop G6. I think Bishop G6 is the most reliable move. There's also Bishop E4 and Bishop G4. That's how I would rank it in order of reliability. Bishop D2 is interesting. There's a lot of stuff that white can play on move 7 in this line. And Bishop D2 is one of those moves. I might go an early knight E4 if he does not opt to take my bishop on G6. Oh, that renders that useless, but I was thinking about it. Okay, so now B3. I could play bishop b4. It's probably not a bad option here, because I'm worried if I play bishop d6 that he might play c5 followed by f4 and try to obtain like a big clamp. So bishop b4, I'm instead introducing the idea of taking on c3 and then going knight e4. I think that's what I'll do. It's kind of a lame way to play it, but it's pretty effective actually. So I'm just going to do it. And the point is, if he plays bishop b2 trying to save his bishop pair, I have queen a5 check. And he'd have to play king e2, which is awful. So he'll probably just agree to trade his dark square bishop for my knight. Like, he'll defend the bishop somehow, like with that move. So now I can take it. I could try to do something in between, like a queen h4 type move. Unclear to me that really accomplishes much. Yeah, it's not worth it. So I'll just do that. He's going to bring his bishop out to d3 next. I probably should play g5. This way he has to think about g4. It's an annoying move for him to have to consider. He might play bishop e2 in order to stop me from playing g4. But in that case, I can go knight f6, and I like the fact that my knight's headed to e4. So, all in all, this is a solid position for black. I like my game right here. I'll go queen d6 now. Kind of eye that g3 square. See what he wants to do with his king. Because he might have to play king f2. Because, yeah, actually, if he castles, I can take on h3 now. That gives me at least a draw, provided he takes back. And possibly more. Just looking to see. Yeah, I'll do it. Because if he takes, I go queen g3 check, and then king h1, queen takes h3 check, king g1, queen back to g3, and I would just castle. He actually just resigned right now, but I would have castled, and then brought my other rook over to h8, my remaining rook. Yeah, so castles looks to be a very big blunder that just lost the game instantly. So just to illustrate that line, take, check here, check. Take, here, check. Here. And now I need that extra firepower down the file, so just castling will do the trick. The rook comes over. There's no defense. So we'll have a quick look. It was not a very long game. So this is the Slow Slav, bishop f5. Important move order distinction, which I've talked about once or twice on here. If white plays knight c3 on move 3, and black goes knight f6, and then white opts to play e3, bishop f5 is not that great of a move in this position because white has a lot of pressure on d5. There's a big difference between bishop f5 after knight c3 has been played and after knight f3 has been played. And every Slav or semi-Slav player, and really every d4 player as white, should know this. But in this instance, with bishop f5, white can capture on d5, and black will take back. And now white can capitalize on the pressure on this pawn by playing queen b3. Hitting both d5 and b7. And it's very awkward for black to defend both those pawns. Like, if the queen were to come to c7 or c8, that would leave d5 hanging. So, something like this. Queen's no longer defending the pawn. And queen d7 is risky because it walks into a couple things. Like, one is just knight f3 to e5. And also, if necessary, the move bishop b5. Probably in conjunction with knight e5 too. So this is not good for black. So actually what the best move in this position is as far as I know, is just bishop back to c8. So just agreeing to retreat the bishop so as to reliably defend this pawn. b6 is also pretty much dubious, by the way. Weakens the queen side pretty severely. Also, I think there might be some tactical problems with that move, like maybe bishop b5 check. But against knight f3, on the contrary, after knight f3, knight f6, and then e3, bishop f5 is safe, because if cd and then cd, and now queen b3, well, d5 is protected twice and it's only attacked once. So black could safely play queen c7, knowing that the pawn on d5 is protected by the knight, so it doesn't need the queen's protection. And as a bonus here, black is hitting the bishop on c1 too. So this position is fine for black. So that's the reason, the justification behind the Slow Slav, which is bishop f5. So knight c3 and then e6, knight h4. Yeah, this is white's main idea. They're trying to win the pair of bishops. No other move is considered challenging in this position. Well, it's only knight h4. If anything else happens, black might even be able to play, like for instance, I faced stuff like bishop e2 before. And I think black is entirely justified in playing h6 to ensure that the bishop can drop back to h7 should it be attacked by knight h4. There's no real reason to think white could be better here, because black has real easy play for their minor pieces. Like the pieces just fit nicely. This bishop will go to d6 most likely. The light square bishop is already outside of the chain, which is a major hurdle that black has already crossed, basically. And yeah, it is a good position. You can castle on the short side. So after this and then e6, knight h4, I chose the most solid move, bishop g6. But as I said, bishop e4 is a little more dynamic. By playing bishop e4, black would be trying to induce white to play the f3 move and then go back to g6. And there's arguments for and against this, but this generally leads to a more dynamic position compared to bishop g6 right away on move 6, because f3 could hurt white's king safety, but it could aid white in pushing quicker in the center, is often one of the benefits. So I don't have as much experience in that line. If I absolutely had to win in this variation, I'd probably choose bishop e4. Bishop g4, it's not held in high regard at the moment because of queen b3. I don't think it's ever been really considered to be that great of a move. But basically it goes queen b3, and let's say queen c7, h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop here, and the bishop gets driven back to g6 anyways, and white can win the bishop pair. So I just played the solid move, bishop g6. He played bishop d2, and then knight bd7. Yeah, oftentimes white will try to keep this bishop held hostage and not capture the bishop right away, so they'll postpone that capture until a more favorable time. But he took, I took, now here. Yeah, so like an autopilot move for black in this position, which I've definitely made before, is bishop d6. But you have to watch out for this clamp idea, which is c5, bishop c7, and now f4. And this is the clamp structure. So white's playing to restrict black's pawn breaks. So e5, one of the most important pawn breaks for black in Slav setups, is now most definitely prevented. You know, we're not getting past those pawns on f4 and d4. g5 might be playable. Sometimes g5 can be played because, let's say just hypothetically take, there's some question about whether this pawn on h2 is hanging. I don't want to analyze this exact position, but g5 is a break that would have to be considered. b6, another break that you'd like to do against an advanced pawn on c5, would just simply be met by b4. And undermining won't do any good because of a3. The rook on a1 is protected. That's often how you can tell if an undermining is good. But black's not getting anywhere with anything like this. If only, it's only opening the position and probably exposing the c6 weakness even further. So that's why I played bishop b4 way back here, because I didn't want to allow him that c5 move with tempo, setting up the clamp. And yeah, I think he should probably play bishop d3 in this position. Because what he did was not very challenging. Like, after h3, I was just able to take and then jump the knight into e4, hitting the bishop. And I'm going to get one of his bishops back, so I'm not going to be fighting with 2 knights versus 2 bishops. Although the position is closed, like the 2 bishops are still valuable here, even though there have been no pawn exchanges. There's a little bit of tension, so like there's tension on c4 and d5, and we could reasonably expect center play later on, so the bishops will have their say if they are allowed to stick around. If he plays bishop b4 here... Oh, actually bishop b4 might be interesting. I was actually planning on playing a5, but I just now realized that after bishop a3, I can't get to a5 with my queen. That's kind of annoying. So I'd have to do something different, like maybe, I don't know, queen b6 in this position instead. Hoping for bishop a3 and then queen a5 check. But I don't know, he can play perhaps that move, although c5 should be, or a5 should be plenty good for black too. I was also considering like popping my queen out on h4 or f6 maybe to try to attack f2. That's kind of a weak spot for him. He's a little bit behind in development now. Only by like a move or so, but it's a little unusual for black to actually be ahead. But this is the effect of this slow Slav line, because back on move 6, like white moving the knight already to the edge of the board, like seemingly violating classical principles. It's time consuming. You know, he wins the bishop pair, he gets this nice strategic advantage, but it's time consuming, and black has a solid position. And I've had many games where if white's not careful in this line, black just seizes the initiative and white gets crushed. So he went queen c2. Yeah, and this g5 move is really thematic. Trying to bother him with g4. It's a nice space gaining move black can make on the king side. So he prevented that. But now after knight f6, I'm very satisfied with this position. Kind of renewed the threat of g4. I don't even know if it's that big of a threat, because when I push, he could just push past with h4. Although then I might like renew the threat and play g5. Like let's just say, I don't know, it's even hard to find it. Let's say he plays c5. I don't know why he would do that, but let's say that happens, and then I play g4, and he's like, oh, well, I don't want him to give me an isolated pawn or something, so go here, and then black gets to get the other pawn up to g5. It's kind of nice. And the pin on the h-file is still operating. So he played after knight f6 this f3 move, but yeah, queen d6, and I don't know, maybe he should go king f2 or castle queenside. Something like that. Anything but what he did, which is castle short. Let's just see what the computer has to say here. Haven't really used the computer at all this game in the analysis, but I didn't really think it was necessary. I didn't think there were too many spots that I felt like the computer could be that enlightening. Yeah, king f2. But it already likes black. It says I'm slightly better. It says try to hone in on the g3 square. Yeah, this is nice. So, yep, castle and rook takes h3, and even if he declines the rook, you can see it's a very bad position for him. The queen coming into h2, and yeah, not good. Not good at all. All right, hope you guys enjoyed that game, and please feel free to leave me any feedback in the comments. Hope everyone's having a good Monday. Thanks for watching, guys.